Well, very good morning to you. Watching the Channel M Breakfast Show on Thursday, the 2nd of April. I'm Michelle Eagleton.
And I'm a bitter and twisted Byron Evans, and I'll tell you why. Because some of our colleagues have jetted off to the far reaches of Lapland. They're doing a bit of a survey, a study of unusual places to go and visit. Some ideas, for perhaps for Easter or for the summer holidays, some away from the norm. And there the guys are. We can see our gaffer there. There's Vanessa Williams, who's on the far left. We've got Joanne, our researcher, in the middle, and Nikki Dean, my co-host here on the show, on the far end. Look at that, 3 peas in a pod. In fact, that is an ice hotel, so 3 frozen peas.
I'm glad that they got wrapped up there, because I think you absolutely need it. It must be freezing.
Yeah, I heard from Nikki last night. She said that Santa Claus dropped in for a bit of a chat. She said, to quote, which was a bit random. How is that random when Lapland is where he's from? It's his house. I mean, it's his nation, it's his
That's
gaff.
where I expect him to be. And they've also been racing with huskies, no less.
They have indeed. They weren't racing against them,
no.
Michelle. They were. I think that would be a.
You'd have no chance.
No chance at all. But they'll be back next week, so no doubt they'll be extolling the virtues of Lapland.
Yes.
Sounds fantastic. But have they earned or have they learned the ancient art of lap dancing? Time will tell. We'll find out when they get back. In a few minutes, I'll have all the latest sports headlines with Mike Bradley. And if you're a golfer, we've got some top tips to get you out of the bunker. But first, let's get the final news headlines with James Webster.
Good morning. Here are Thursday's top stories. It's going to take longer and cost millions of pounds more to complete the controversial closure of some of Greater Manchester's maternity and children's wards. Overnight and children's services in Bury, Salford and Rochdale will not now close till at least 2011. It was agreed to centralise treatment from 12 units into 8 2 years ago, but officials now admit it'll cost an extra £40 million to follow the plans through. One man's died in the violent protests seen in London ahead of the G20 summit. He'd collapsed near the Bank of England. Nearly 90 people were arrested during the first day of protests in the capital. Some smashed their way into a Royal Bank of Scotland branch. The Met Police commander in charge of the operations warned he's expecting more clashes between officers and demonstrators later. They've been working through the night to clear a climate change camp. World leaders will start discussing the financial crisis later on. It's reported there are rifts between them, which could slow down progress in reaching an agreement. Almost 200 Catholics who paid more than £1,000 to see the Pope have missed out after their travel firm collapsed. Many have been saving for months, if not years, for the trip, as Kevin Duffy now explains.
An audience with the Pope is something special if you're a Catholic. But dozens of Greater Manchester people who were looking forward to seeing His Holiness in Rome have been left bitterly disappointed after a travel company went out of business. However, for Peter and Christine Smith of Stockport, it's a double agony, because they were the organisers of the £200,000 pilgrimage for 190 people from all over the country. It was being held to mark the centennial year of the Catenian Association, a business and professional group for Catholics.
Well, the responses that we've had from the Catenians has been absolutely tremendous. We haven't had one bad remark from any of them. They've all felt that it was something which has happened that we'd no control over, and they fully understand the position we were in.
It's proof, if any were needed, that nobody and no place is immune from the effects of the world economic downturn.
They will all be protected financially with ATOL, the tour operator's licence.
The Pilgrim Group had booked through Magnum Holidays of Chadderton, but the firm was placed in administration at the end of February. In a statement, the owner Gary Boland said, "I did everything in my power to avoid what has happened." Peter and Christine have organised pilgrim trips for 15 years. This was intended to be the final one. Kevin Duffy for Channel M News.
The search for 8 people still missing after a helicopter crashed into the North Sea has resumed. 8 bodies have already been pulled from the water off the Aberdeenshire coast. They were on board a Super Puma travelling back from a BP oil platform when it went down 14 miles from the coast. It's feared all those on board have lost their lives. More than £100,000 in speeding fines was lost here in Greater Manchester last year because police have no way of tracing foreign cars. Figures have been released showing 1,500 non-British vehicles were caught breaking the limit in 2008. That's the equivalent of 30 a week, but they couldn't be prosecuted. Teammates of a former Salford rugby player will join family and friends later for his funeral. Leon Walker, who was 20, collapsed during a Wakefield Wildcats game last month. Post-mortem tests failed to find an exact cause of death. The service is taking place in Leeds, followed by a private family burial. England's footballers are now firmly on course to qualify for next summer's World Cup finals in South Africa. John Terry's late goal made it 2-1 against the Ukraine last night and kept the side's unbeaten record with 5 wins out of 5. Peter Crouch was the other goal scorer. More on that game in just a minute or two with Mike in the sport. Next, a family from Oldham are getting ready to celebrate their 3rd generation of traditional Rose Queens. When 12-year-old Logan Westwood is crowned, she'll be following in the footsteps of her gran, Anita Halliwell, and her late mum. It all started half a century ago.
I go to church every Sunday, and then like all the girls who go, they add up all the marks that you get for going, and whoever has the most marks gets the Rose Queen, and I got the most marks this year. We do the walk, and then we go up onto the stage and have the actual crowning, and we have a couple of speeches, and then we have the tea and the drinks afterwards.
I think Logan will be a lovely queen, I really do. She puts 100% in everything that she does, you know, which is important because, you know, you go and meet a lot of other people.
I feel proud that she's able to carry on, you know, what we started and be hopefully not the last one in the line. Hopefully our children can go on to carry on the tradition as well.
That's all from me for this morning. I'll be back with the Channel M lunchtime news at 12 noon, and Andy Crane's here from 5 tonight with more from across Greater Manchester. Now, though, the sport with Byron and Mike.
OK, plenty to talk about in our final sporting roundup. We'll start off with back page gossip. And, well, I say back page, it's more like page 52 of the Manchester Evening News. The uglier side of cricket.
The ugly side of cricket. Michael Cairns, the Lancashire chairman, in this morning's annual report has blasted the ECB, not for the first time. I just hope somebody then at the Ivory Towers in London will take notice of it, because the ECB are fast becoming the laughingstock of world cricket. The Stanford debacle was a disgrace, writes Michael Cairns, but regrettably only one example of mismanagement the ECB have been guilty of over the past year, and we just add a hearty hear, hear to that, don't we, Byron?
Hear, hear.
Absolutely. Was that hearty?
Yeah, it was pretty hearty.
Good, thank you.
Let's play Happy Sad Game.
Let's be happy. Well, let's first of all that Fabio Cannavaro, who's a Man City target playing at Real Madrid, he said if he leaves at the end of the season, it's not going to be a huge drama. So I think we can say he could be 1 foot on the plane to Eastlands. Rubino is happy playing for Manchester City because he is getting more games regularly than he did for Real Madrid. And Dimitar Berbatov is unhappy because he sat in the dressing room at Old Trafford without a Champions League medal or without a Premier League medal. Well, you're not good enough to get one, you've got to earn them. Alan Shearer, he'll earn £1 million for 8 games.
Happy!
Absolutely delirious this morning just to be in charge for 8 games, and an additional 8 million additional 1 million should he keep them in the Premiership at the end of the season. And Mark Lawrenson...
Always sad.
Mark Lawrenson, like you and I, thought it was the best April Fool's gag ever when somebody rang him up yesterday and said Shearer's just got the Newcastle gig.
Tony Hand?
Tony Hand, I tell you, MBE, absolutely delirious. 41 years of age, still sought after in the world of ice hockey. But Neil Morris, the owner at the Phoenix, has pulled off a great cure last night and decided to sign him for a further 3 years. So plenty of development still going on at the Phoenix. We don't know in which league they'll be playing next season, but the good news is Tony Hand will be with them.
Yeah, great news. And England fans chuffed to bits. Happy as Larry this morning.
Happy as Larry, whoever Larry may be. A quick look at Group 6, the FIFA World Cup qualifying group this morning. England 5 points clear of Croatia after their 2-1 win over the Ukraine last night. Croatia beat Andorra 2-0. Belarus surprise 5-1 winners in Kazakhstan. So England virtually signed, sealed and delivered now their place in next year's World Cup finals in South Africa. The next in action on June the 6th when they travel to Kazakhstan. Already conceded 16 goals in win their 5 games. So another win for Fabio Capello in Kazakhstan, and we'll be there. And we're already going to be installed as favourites to win the World Cup next year.
Absolutely, it's a given now. We've won a game.
Yeah. And the boat race, everything else, and the song contest. We're going to win. We're going to clean up.
Can Salford City Reds win though? That's the question, Mike.
Well, can they win? What will they ever win again? That's a big question. I'm glad you said that, not me. John Wilkinson. He's been telling fans that despite having played 7 games and lost 6, things will get better.
We knew this season that it was always going to be difficult. You know, your first step back into Super League is always going to be hard, and you know, we were aware of that. We felt that we'd signed players good enough, certainly, to compete. I was looking at that stage, if we could have finished in that top 8, in the 8th position, would have been a monumental task. You know, I say to the fans, you know, trust us, it will get better. We are aware of, and we are listening to what you're saying. We want to be winning. The lads on the field want to be winning, and I'm convinced as the season unfolds that you'll see Salford, you know, playing some excellent rugby, and I hope that we can just climb up that table very, very quickly.
Well, hopefully we can turn those frowns upside down with Sale Sharks, who are leaving the pitch in favour of the classroom.
Yeah, they've gone back to the classroom. Earlier on you said the team perhaps should, because they've slipped to 6th in the Premiership. I didn't say that because I've got quite a few friends left at Sale. Byron hasn't. He hasn't got any friends anyway. But as Byron said, Sale Sharks are back in the community working with schools, trying to tell kids the benefits of a healthier lifestyle.
This is the Wednesday school of the breakfast clubs that we do at Sale Sharks. We have 5 schools, Monday through to Friday. This is Gorsfield Primary School in Radcliffe, and we've decided that we're going to take the kids for breakfast. As you can see, they're all enjoying themselves. And then we then go and do a bit of sport, which we'll be doing in about 5 minutes. We're going to run around the hall here and get them nice and fit and healthy.
It gives the children a chance to talk to me as well, and it gives me a chance to talk to the children, which is something that I would like to do. I like to chance to catch up with them. We don't always get that chance during the school day, so it's nice to be able to sit down and just find out what's going on in their lives, and you know, we can swap stories about holidays and, you know, school holidays, and you know, doing different sporty events, because I know a lot of the children here enjoy their sports and, you know, they're keen on improving themselves, so that's what we're trying to do.
Quite a few benefits to the kids. The benefits are that they have an understanding of fitness, health, nutrition, how to look after themselves, how to be up nice and early in the morning as well. We had a conversation last week about staying in bed watching TV all night, and then we sort of spoke to them about getting to bed early, getting up nice and early, nice and fresh. They get here, then they pay attention at school, and obviously they're going to learn more when they're in the lessons.
Well, that pretty much wraps up this morning's sport. Before we go, what's happening tomorrow, Mike?
What's happening tomorrow? What in the world of sport?
Well, ideally, that would be quite handy considering that's the bit you do.
Give us a clue in the question. Sale Sharks travel to Leicester Tigers. That's the big game. We'll have highlights of that on Monday. It's another must-win game for Sale, no matter what you say, how bad they are. I still think they can go down there and win. Brian Noble, we'll hear from him. We'll hear from Mark Hughes and also from Alex Ferguson. And your prediction for your boys against United this weekend is what?
I'm really glad you brought that up. Now, if you're a budding golfer, the chances are...
Not forgetting the charity bet, you still owe me.
Anyway, Mike, greatly looking forward to Mike being on the show tomorrow. Can't wait. If you're a budding golfer, the chances are you've been in a bunker or 2. Well, here's some top tips to help you get you out of that sticky situation. God, I hate you.
Golf tips. Brought to you by Golftorium, Manchester's first indoor golf centre and bar.
OK, today's tip is getting out of a bunker. Most people struggle to get out of a bunker. So we're going to show you the best way of approaching this shot. Ultimately, we want the golf ball in the middle of the stance. We want a nice wide stance. We want to dig the feet into the sand. OK, so the reason why we'd dig his feet into the sand, it gives us a much more solid base to work from, and it gives us the depth of the sand, therefore how much sand we should take. Secondly, we want to make sure we pick the right golf club, which is a sand wedge. Because we want the golf ball to go in the air, then obviously we want to open the club face. So basically, instead of holding the golf club nice and square like that, we twist it open and then hold the golf club. So go up and over and land. Okay? We're going to feel like the weight is in the left side because the club face is facing towards the hole. Okay? Weight in the left side, and we're going to make sure it's nice, aggressive motion. The sand is like a cushion, so therefore we have to hit it a little bit harder. We're roughly looking to aim 2 inches behind the golf ball. So, weight in the left side, 2 inches behind the golf ball, and we'll work back and forwards, accelerate through. Okay, the key points to this shot are feet nice and wide, make sure you dig your feet in so you get a nice solid base. Club face open, aim left with your feet, weight in your left foot, 2 inches behind the golf ball, we're going to make contact with the sand and swing back and accelerate through. But the ultimate tip is don't go in the bunker.
Golf tips. Brought to you by Golftorium, Manchester's first indoor golf centre and bar.
More moaning and groaning on the sports section with Mike tomorrow. But time now for a quick break. Coming up, we've got a gospel music choir. And I'll tell you what, you're in for a right old ding-dong. There's about 3 million of them and they're all in good voice. They are the Manchester Sing Out Choir. Don't you dare go anywhere else.